The silver ship drifted silently through the darkness of space, its hull gleaming under the distant light of a yellow star. Captain Vorthok stood on the bridge, his 4 purple eyes scanning the data streaming across the screens. His long, thin fingers tapped against the metal railing as he studied the readings from the 3rd planet in this unremarkable solar system. "Another primitive world," he said to his communication officer, a small creature with gray skin and large black eyes. "They are still using radio waves and chemical rockets. How pathetic." The officer nodded quickly. "Yes, Captain, their technology is at least 500 years behind ours. Should we begin standard expansion protocol?" Vorthok smiled, showing rows of sharp white teeth. The Galactic Confederation had done this same dance with thousands of worlds over the past century. Find a primitive planet, give the inhabitants a chance to leave peacefully, then take what they needed. It was efficient and clean. "Send the evacuation notice," he ordered. "Give them 1 rotation of their planet to comply. After that, we begin construction of the trade nexus." On the blue and green world below, Commander Park Min-ho sat in a deep underground room filled with glowing screens and humming machines. The Seoul Defense Command Center looked like something from a science fiction movie, but it had been operating in secret for over 50 years. Min-ho was a tall man with sharp eyes and graying hair at his temples. He had been waiting for this day his entire career. The alien transmission crackled through their quantum receivers, and the translation software immediately began working. Min-ho read the message twice, then leaned back in his chair with a cold smile. "Commander," his aide Kim Nari called from across the room. She was young, maybe 25, with short black hair and worried eyes. "They want us to evacuate Earth completely. They say they need our solar system for some kind of trade station." Min-ho stood up slowly. Around him, dozens of technicians and military officers watched in silence. These people had trained their entire lives for first contact with alien species, but this was not the peaceful meeting they had hoped for. "How long do we have?" he asked. 24 hours, Nari replied, her voice shaking slightly. "They say if we refuse, they will use something called standard pacification protocols on our planet." The room fell completely silent. Everyone knew what that meant. They had been monitoring alien communications for decades. They knew exactly what the Galactic Confederation did to worlds that refused to cooperate. Min-ho walked to the main communication console and picked up the transmitter. He took a deep breath, then spoke in perfect galactic standard, a language that Earth officially did not know. "This is Commander Park Min-ho of the Terran Defense Force. Your request to evacuate our world is denied. Earth is our home, and we will not abandon it. Find somewhere else to build your trade station." He paused, looking around at the faces of his people. Some looked terrified. Others looked excited. All of them looked ready. "This is our only warning to you," Min-ho continued. "Leave our solar system immediately, or face the consequences." On the alien ship, Captain Vorthok stared at his communication screen in shock. The primitive humans had responded in perfect galactic standard. That was impossible. Their intelligence reports showed that Earth had no knowledge of advanced languages or space travel. "Captain," his officer said nervously, "how did they learn our language?" Vorthok's 4 eyes narrowed. "It does not matter. They are still primitive. Send a message to Admiral Zektarian. Tell him we need a full battle fleet for this world. These humans seem to think they can fight us." He began laughing, a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. "They have no idea what they are dealing with. The Confederation has destroyed civilizations far more advanced than theirs." Back on Earth, Min-ho ended the transmission and turned to face his team. The underground command center buzzed with activity as people prepared for what was coming next. "Send the alert to all defense stations," he ordered. "Wake up the sleeping systems. Contact the lunar bases and the asteroid belt installations. Tell them it is time." Nari looked confused. "Commander, what sleeping systems? What lunar bases?" Min-ho smiled grimly. "The systems we have been building for the past 50 years, Lieutenant. The ones that have been waiting for this exact moment." He walked to a large wall screen that showed a view of Earth from space. To most people, it looked like a peaceful blue marble floating in the darkness. But Minho knew the truth. Hidden beneath the oceans, buried in mountains and disguised as space debris throughout the solar system, humanity had been preparing. "The aliens think we are primitive," he said quietly. "They think we are helpless. They are about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones you underestimate." In the depths of Earth's oceans, ancient machines began to stir. On the moon, camouflaged installations powered up their weapon systems. Throughout the asteroid belt, hidden battle stations prepared for war. The Galactic Confederation was coming, expecting to face a defenseless world. Instead, they would discover that humanity had been watching, learning, and preparing for this day for longer than they could imagine. The trap was set. Now all they had to do was wait. The massive alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system like a swarm of angry metal wasps. 12 enormous warships, each one the size of a small city, hung in the darkness with their weapons pointed toward the blue planet. Admiral Zectarian stood on the bridge of his flagship, his reptilian features twisted into what his species considered a smile. "Magnificent," he hissed, watching the tactical display. 12 heavy cruisers should be more than enough to deal with these primitive humans. His second in command, a tall creature with silver skin and no eyes, nodded respectfully. "Admiral, each of our ships carries enough firepower to destroy a continent. The humans will surely surrender when they see our strength." Zectarian had been doing this for over 30 years. He had conquered 47 different worlds for the Galactic Confederation. Some species tried to fight, others begged for mercy. All of them eventually submitted or died. It was the natural order of the universe. "Prepare the standard intimidation broadcast," he ordered. "Show them the recordings from Kepler 438b and Proxima Centauri c. Let them see what happens to worlds that refuse to cooperate." The transmission went out across all of Earth's communication frequencies. Every radio, television, and internet connection on the planet received the same message. The alien admiral's face appeared on screens around the world, his cold yellow eyes staring directly at the camera. "Humans of Earth," his voice boomed through the translation systems. "You ignored our generous offer to relocate peacefully. This is your final opportunity to avoid extinction. You have one rotation of your planet to surrender completely." The broadcast switched to recorded footage from other worlds. Cities burning under alien weapons fire. Landscapes turned to glass and ash. Millions of people fleeing in terror before being cut down by energy beams from the sky. "This is the fate of all species that defy the Galactic Confederation," Zectarian continued. "We are not cruel, but we are not patient. Choose wisely." Deep beneath the mountains of South Korea, defense. Minister Lee Jiho watched the broadcast from the main war room. Around him sat the military leaders of every major nation on Earth. The room was carved from solid rock and protected by layers of advanced shielding that the aliens could not detect. Jiho was an older man, maybe 60 years old, with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen too much war. He had been preparing for this moment for his entire career. Next to him sat General Sarah Martinez from the United States, Colonel Chen Wei from China, and Marshal Volkov from Russia. All of them looked tense but determined. "Well," Jiho said quietly, "they certainly know how to make a threat." General Martinez leaned forward. "Sir, our satellites show their ships are spreading out into attack formation. They are not planning to wait for our answer." "How long until they reach optimal firing position?" Jiho asked. 6 hours, Colonel Chen replied, checking his tablet. "But our deep space sensors show something interesting. Their ships are using standard Confederation technology from about 20 years ago. Nothing we have not seen before." Marshal Volkov grunted. 20 years is a long time to study enemy weapon systems." Jiho nodded and turned to the communication officer. "Lieutenant Colonel Choi, prepare a response. Make sure it goes out on all frequencies so the entire galaxy can hear it." Lieutenant Colonel Choi Hyunwoo was a thin man with intelligent eyes and steady hands. He had been Earth's primary contact specialist for alien communications. He walked to the main console and began setting up the transmission equipment. "What should I tell them, sir?" Choi asked. Jiho thought for a moment, then spoke carefully. "Tell them exactly what Commander Park told their scout ship. They had their chance to leave peacefully. They chose war instead. Choi nodded and began the transmission. His voice was calm and clear as he spoke in perfect galactic standard. Admiral Zektarian of the Galactic Confederation Fleet. This is Lieutenant Colonel Choi Hyunwoo speaking for the people of Earth. We have received your ultimatum and your threats. We have seen the recordings of the worlds you have destroyed. He paused for a moment, looking around the room at the faces of Earth's defenders. You were given a chance to leave our solar system peacefully. Instead, you chose to bring a war fleet to threaten our home. This was a mistake. When your ships are burning and your crews are dying, remember that you brought this upon yourselves. Earth leaves no survivors who threaten our world. On the alien flagship, Admiral Zektarian stared at his communication screen in disbelief. The human had spoken with such confidence, such certainty. It was as if he actually believed his primitive species could fight the mighty Confederation. Admiral, his weapons officer called out, should we begin the bombardment immediately? Zektarian laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. No, not yet. Let them suffer with fear for a few more hours. Then we will show them what real power looks like. But deep in the ocean trenches around Earth, something ancient was stirring. Machines that had been sleeping for decades began to wake up. Power cores that had been dormant started to hum with energy. Weapon systems that existed only in the deepest classified files began their startup sequences. The aliens thought they knew what they were facing. They were about to discover that humanity's greatest strength was not their courage or their determination. It was their ability to keep secrets. The Confederation fleet moved through space like a pack of hunting wolves, their massive ships casting dark shadows across the lunar surface. Admiral Zektarian watched the tactical display with satisfaction as his vessels took perfect attack formation around the small blue world. Target their major cities first, he ordered, his clawed fingers dancing across the control panel. I want to see their capitals burning within the hour. The alien warships powered up their main weapons, massive energy cannons that could melt mountains. Their sensors showed Earth exactly as expected. A primitive world with no orbital defenses, no military satellites, nothing but the weak electromagnetic signals of a species that had barely learned to leave their own atmosphere. Beginning bombardment. Sequence, the weapons officer announced. All ships report ready to fire. Zektarian leaned back in his command chair, already imagining the fear and panic that would spread across the human world. It was always the same. The primitives would beg and plead, offering anything to save their miserable lives. Some would try to run, but there was nowhere to go in the cold vacuum of space. Fire, he commanded. That was when the moon exploded. The lunar surface erupted in a symphony of destruction that lit up the darkness like a newborn star. Massive particle beam arrays, hidden for decades beneath false crater walls, unleashed torrents of coherent energy that could slice through starship armor like paper. The beams lanced out in perfect coordination, striking 3 Confederation cruisers simultaneously. The alien ships simply vanished. Their shields, designed to protect against conventional weapons, overloaded instantly. The hulls buckled and twisted before dissolving into expanding clouds of superheated metal and plasma. Impossible! Zektarian shrieked, his 4 eyes wide with shock. They are supposed to be primitive. Where did those weapons come from? His tactical officer was frantically working at his console, trying to make sense of the readings. Admiral, the energy signatures are completely unknown. These weapons are more advanced than anything in our database. From the lunar surface, Captain Yang Suman's voice cut through their panic with perfect clarity. She was sitting in a command center buried 3 kilometers beneath the moon's surface, surrounded by banks of computers and holographic displays that showed the positions of every ship in the system. "Surprise, Admiral," she said, her voice carrying a hint of dark amusement. "We have been listening to your communications for over 50 years. We know exactly what you are and exactly how you fight." Zektarian's mind reeled as he tried to process this information. 50 years? That was impossible. The humans had only achieved basic spaceflight a few decades ago. Their own intelligence reports showed a species that was barely past chemical rockets and primitive computers. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," he commanded. "Get us away from that moon." But as the Confederation fleet tried to regroup, The asteroid belt came alive with deadly purpose. What their sensors had dismissed as ordinary space rocks suddenly revealed their true nature. Hidden doors opened in the sides of asteroids, revealing sleek battle stations that had been camouflaged for decades. Weapons ports slid open with mechanical precision, and launch bays disgorged swarms of human fighters. Major Kim Tae-hyun sat in the command center of Asteroid Station Alpha, watching his tactical display as hundreds of human vessels emerged from their hiding places. Each station had been carved from the inside of a real asteroid, leaving the outer surface looking completely natural while hiding advanced technology within. All stations, this is Alpha Command, he transmitted to the other hidden bases. Execute Battle Plan Omega. Show them what we have been building. The asteroid belt transformed into a hornet's nest of activity. Battle stations that had been invisible moments before now blazed with the light of their engines and weapons. Human warships, sleek and deadly, poured out of concealed hangars like schools of metallic fish. The Confederation fleet found themselves surrounded by enemies they had never seen coming. Their advanced sensors had detected nothing unusual about Earth's solar system, but now they realized they had been completely deceived. "Admiral," his science officer called out in a trembling voice, "I am reading over 300 human vessels. Their technology appears to be equal to or superior to our own." Sectarian stared at the tactical display in horror. The neat formation of red dots representing his fleet was now surrounded by a cloud of blue contacts that seemed to grow larger every second. How had the humans hidden so many ships? How had they built technology that could match the Confederation's finest weapons? Commander Park Jin-yuk's voice came through the communication system from his position aboard the human flagship Terra's Vengeance. He was a veteran of Earth's secret space program, trained in combat techniques that officially did not exist. "Admiral Sectarian, you made a simple mistake," Park said calmly. "You assumed that a species smart enough to develop radio and spaceflight would be stupid enough to broadcast their true capabilities to the entire galaxy." The human ships moved with inhuman precision, their formation flowing like liquid metal as they surrounded the alien fleet. Each vessel was connected to the others through quantum communication networks that allowed them to share targeting data instantaneously. "You see, Admiral," Park continued, "we have been preparing for this meeting for a very long time. Every signal you ever sent, every ship that passed through our system, every piece of technology you thought was secret, we recorded it all. We studied you. We learned from you. And then we built something better. The trap was perfect. The aliens had walked straight into humanity's web, and now the hunters had become the hunted. The space around Earth became a graveyard of twisted metal and burning debris. What had been the proud Confederation fleet just minutes before was now scattered wreckage drifting through the void. Admiral Sectarian watched in horror as his ships were picked apart one by the human swarm. The human vessels moved like a single living creature, flowing around the alien ships with deadly grace. They did not fight like any species the Confederation had ever encountered. There was no hesitation, no mercy, no attempt to disable or capture. They simply destroyed everything they touched. All remaining ships, emergency jump protocols. Sectarian screamed into his communicator, "Retreat to hyperspace immediately." His navigation officer frantically worked at his console, trying to activate the faster-than-light drive that would carry them to safety. But the familiar hum of the FTL engines never came. Instead, warning lights flashed red across every control panel. "Admiral," the officer said, his voice shaking with fear, "the hyperspace drive is not responding. All FTL systems are completely offline." Captain Jang Min-seo's voice cut through their panic from her position aboard the human destroyer, Silent. Hunter. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and steady hands, trained in the deepest secrets of Earth's black projects. "Your faster-than-light drives are offline because we made them offline," she said with cold satisfaction. "Did you really think we spent 50 years studying your technology without learning how to disable it?" The remaining Confederation ships tried to flee using their conventional engines, but the human vessels were faster and more maneuverable. Sleek fighters darted between the larger alien ships like deadly insects, their weapons cutting through armor plating with surgical precision. Commander Nam Ji-won sat in the tactical center of Earth's orbital defense platform, watching the battle unfold on dozens of screens. The platform was hidden inside what appeared to be a communication satellite, but was actually a heavily armed fortress that had been watching the skies for decades. Admiral Zektarian tried once more to establish communication with the human forces. "Please," he transmitted on all frequencies, "we surrender. We yield completely. Allow us to leave your system, and we will never return." The response came from Major Han Seojin, leader of Earth's elite fighter squadron. His voice was calm and emotionless as he spoke from the cockpit of his advanced interceptor. "Admiral, you had your chance to leave peacefully. You chose to bring weapons to our home instead. This is what happens to species that threaten humanity." The human fighters moved in perfect coordination, sharing targeting data through quantum-encrypted networks that the aliens could not intercept or jam. When one ship identified a weak point in an enemy vessel, every other ship in the formation knew about it instantly. When an alien tried to hide behind debris, the humans tracked it with sensors that seemed to see through solid matter. Lieutenant Colonel Shin Minwoo commanded the human battleship Eternal Vigilance from deep space near Jupiter. His ship was one of dozens that had been hiding in the outer system, disguised as cargo haulers or research vessels. Now they revealed their true nature as some of the most advanced warships ever built. "Target the Confederation flagship," he ordered his weapons officer. "Full power to main batteries." The Eternal Vigilance opened fire with weapons that defied known physics. Gravitational pulse cannons that could crush a ship from the inside out. Quantum disruptors that made matter simply cease to exist. Energy beams that could burn through any known material. Admiral Zektarian's flagship shuddered under the assault, its shields failing one after another. The alien admiral found himself pressed against the floor as his ship's artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. "How is this possible?" he gasped, struggling to reach his communication console. "Your species was supposed to be primitive." The answer came from General Kim Mi-yeon, speaking from the deep command bunker beneath Seoul. Her voice carried the authority of someone who had spent her entire life preparing for this moment. "Admiral, you made the same mistake that every aggressor makes. You confused peaceful with defenseless. We chose not to announce our capabilities to the galaxy because we learned long ago that the universe is full of species like yours." The last few Confederation ships tried desperately to escape, but found themselves caught in gravitational snares that the humans had somehow created. Space itself seemed to bend around the alien vessels, trapping them in invisible nets of twisted space-time. "Impossible," Zektarian whispered as he watched his remaining ships being pulled back toward Earth. "No species has ever weaponized gravity itself." Colonel Lee Hyun, commander of Earth's Experimental Weapons Division, smiled from her laboratory on the dark side of the moon. "Admiral, your species has been conquering worlds for thousands of years. We have been preparing to defend ours for only 50. The difference is that we learned from every species you ever destroyed. The trap was complete. The hunters had become the hunted, and humanity's true nature was finally revealed to the galaxy. The silence of space was broken only by the slow drift of debris from what had once been the mighty Confederation fleet. 12 proud warships had entered Earth's solar system, and now only one remained. Admiral Zektarian's flagship hung in the darkness like a wounded animal, its hull scarred and blackened from the human assault. The alien admiral sat in his damaged command chair, staring at the tactical display with eyes that no longer held any trace of arrogance. His proud fleet was gone. His crew was dead. His entire understanding of the universe had been shattered in the space of a few hours. "Admiral," his surviving communications officer whispered, "why did they spare us? The humans could have destroyed our ship easily." Zektarian did not answer, because he did not know. The human vessels had stopped their attack suddenly, leaving his flagship crippled but intact. It made no sense according to everything he knew about warfare. Winners did not show mercy to those who had threatened their homes. The answer came when his ship's computer detected an unknown device that had been attached to their main communication array. The small metal object pulsed with alien technology that was both beautiful and terrifying. Somehow the humans had boarded his ship and installed it without being detected. Colonel Park Woojin's voice echoed through the ship's speakers with crystal clarity. He was speaking from the bridge of the human command vessel that now hung just outside the Admiral's viewport like a metallic predator. "Admiral Zektarian, you are probably wondering why your ship still exists," Park said, his tone conversational, but cold. "The answer is simple. You are going to deliver a message for us." The device activated with a soft hum, and Zektarian watched in horror as it began uploading massive amounts of data into his ship's computer systems. Petabytes of information flowed through the connection faster than his crew could track or... "Stop. What are you doing to our systems?" the Admiral demanded. "We are giving you a gift," Park replied. "Complete tactical recordings of today's battle, detailed sensor readings of our weapons and ships, technical specifications that your scientists will spend years trying to understand. Everything your Galactic Confederation needs to know about humanity." The upload continued for several minutes while Zektarian's crew watched helplessly. When it finally finished, the device detached itself and drifted away into space, leaving behind only the vast collection of data that would change the galaxy forever. Captain Kim Jisoo, commander of Earth's Intelligence Division, spoke next from her position aboard the stealth ship Shadow Walker. Her vessel was invisible to alien sensors, hidden by technology that bent light and energy around its hull. "Admiral, that data includes a simple message that your leaders will understand perfectly," she said. "The species designation, human, is hereby claimed by the people of Earth. Our territory extends to any system we choose to defend. We are not conquerors, but we will eliminate any threat to our home." Zektarian's ship began moving slowly away from Earth, its damaged engines struggling to maintain power. The human fleet made no move to stop them, but neither did they offer any assistance. The message was clear: leave now and never return. As his flagship limped toward the edge of the solar system, the Admiral looked back at the blue world that had destroyed his fleet. From this distance, Earth looked peaceful and harmless. Just another small planet orbiting an ordinary star. But he now knew the terrible truth that lay beneath its quiet surface. The journey back to Confederation space took 3 weeks with their damaged FTL drive. When Zektarian finally arrived at the capital world, he was immediately brought before the High Council, the governing body that ruled over thousands of worlds and trillions of beings. The council chamber was a vast dome filled with representatives from dozens of different species. Admiral Zektarian stood in the center, feeling very small as he uploaded the human data to the central computer systems. The reaction was immediate and universal. As the tactical recordings played on the giant screens around the chamber, the assembled representatives watched in stunned silence. They saw human weapons that could destroy starships with single shots. They watched human fighters move with impossible coordination. They observed technology that surpassed their own by generations. "Counselors," Zektarian said when the recordings ended, "the humans are not the primitive species we believe them to be. They have been hiding their true capabilities for decades while they studied us and prepared for war." High Counselor Morthak, an ancient being whose species had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years, leaned forward in his floating chair. "Admiral, are you telling us that this small, unknown world defeated an entire Confederation battle fleet?" "Not defeated, Counselor," Zektarian replied quietly. "Annihilated. They did not just destroy our ships. They hunted down every survivor, every escape pod, every piece of debris that might have contained living beings. Only my ship was spared, and only so I could bring you this message." The final transmission came from General Kim Taeyeon, Earth's defense minister, speaking directly to the Galactic Council through their own communication networks. Her image appeared on the screens around the chamber, showing a middle-aged human woman with calm eyes and an expression of absolute certainty. "Leaders of the Galactic Confederation," she said, "you sent a fleet to destroy our world. That fleet no longer exists. We are not interested in conquest or expansion, but we will defend our home with total commitment. Earth's location is now under our protection. Do not test our resolve again." The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in complete silence. Within hours, Earth's coordinates were marked in every Confederation database with a new designation, Absolute quarantine zone. Approach forbidden under any circumstances. The galaxy had learned a new lesson about the dangers of underestimating those who seemed weak.